So you want to work remotely from a beach or maybe on top of a mountain, or perhaps you just want to be anywhere except for an office cubicle. If that's the case, you're in the right place. I'm Amy and I've been a digital nomad for over 4 years now, traveling to 30 plus countries, and I'm going to teach you everything I wish I knew about being a digital nomad so that you can ditch your 9 to 5 in 2025. If you've clicked on this video, you probably already know what a digital nomad is, so we're just going to get right into the good stuff. You're probably wondering how to find a job that will allow you to work completely remotely. But honestly, in the past 5 years, it's become way more popular to work from home or work remotely in a lot of places around the world, so it's going to be a lot more easy for you to find a remote position now than it has ever before. And the way I see it, there are 2 paths you can take to becoming a digital nomad. You can, 1, find a remote job through websites like remote.co, LinkedIn, and just look for a part-time or full-time position that's remote. Or option 2, you can start your own business or do freelancing work, which is the path that I took. I personally hate being managed and I don't love working for other people, so I'd rather put that time and energy into something I'm passionate about to make myself rich and wealthy rather than line the pockets of a CEO. With that said, starting a business is definitely not for everyone. Some people want the structure that comes with a 9 to 5. If you're thinking about going down path number 2 and you don't really know how to start or get into it, it's a lot more simple than you think. Don't overthink it, just start. Take little steps each and every day towards the skills that you're trying to acquire and what you're trying to do with your business or freelancing work. Part of the work that I do is travel content creation, and to start doing that, all I did was start posting really consistently. I was posting on TikTok already, and I was posting on Instagram, so I decided I would post a reel on Instagram every single day, and doing that allowed me to practice and get better at what I was doing and the content I was putting out and start to see results. Before I did the travel content, I was doing freelance copywriting, and I figured out everything by going on TikTok, spending a day or two taking notes from someone who was giving advice on how to start freelancing, and then within a couple of days or a week, I was already earning money. So just know that if you really want it, you will make it happen, and it can happen for you. I also think it's really important to follow something that you're passionate about or enjoy doing. Of course, it's going to be work at the end of the day. It will not always feel fun, but it shouldn't feel like something you're dreading to do each and every day. You should wake up and not feel a sense of overwhelm or dread about the work that you're doing, but be excited most of the time. And if you're particularly interested in becoming a travel content creator, remember this one rule: action over consumption. You should always be creating more than you're consuming, and if you do that, then you're gonna have no problem. When it comes to choosing the destination, it can be a little bit overwhelming because there are so many places to choose from. I recommend going with your gut. When I first decided I wanted to work remotely and I wanted to leave Canada, I decided on Cape Town, South Africa. Honestly, I just saw one photo of Cape Town and I knew I would love it based on the beach. So for me, that was the draw, and I knew I wanted to be somewhere warm. So I looked at the temperatures for that time of year in Cape Town and it was perfect, so I decided to head there. A few things you need to keep in mind, of course, are whether or not it's affordable, if you are going to be able to build a community while you're living there, if the internet is going to be strong, and also remember that you're going to have to research the visa requirements. There are many countries that offer digital nomad visas that make long-term stays a lot easier now. However, you often have to hit a certain salary mark, so if you're not earning a certain amount of money before you go, you won't be able to apply for those visas. It's also important to keep in mind the time zone of the country that you're choosing, because if you are working and have meetings, you might have to be up at weird hours if you're flying to the other side of the world. So that's something I would keep in mind when doing a little bit of research and seeing if you want to live in Australia, if it's going to work. If you're from North America like me and you say you have meetings, it probably won't work out so well if you have to arrange your whole day around meetings in a different part of the world. When it comes to finances, you're going to have to set a minimum amount of money that you want to spend each month and whether or not that's attainable in the place that you're choosing. You need to look at the overall cost of living in that place, and it's always best to overestimate how much you're going to spend because, of course, when you're not working, you're going to want to go and explore and do things. So you're going to spend more money than you might at home on activities. This is super easy to figure out if you have a 9 to 5 job because you can very easily plug in the numbers and see what your budget is going to be. But if you're working freelance or have your own business, you're not going to always be able to rely on those numbers. and your income month to month is going to change. So you have to be living somewhere where you know you can afford to be there for a couple of months, whether or not your income is going to be high. So keep that in mind as well when you are planning whether or not you want to move to a new place. Of course, you're going to need somewhere to live. So when you first get to a destination, I recommend booking a couple of nights at a hostel or a co-living or maybe an Airbnb just to see if you like that area. I really like having the flexibility to up and move if I want to, because you don't always know what it's going to be like until you get there. So always book like maybe 3 to 7 nights in a place, see how you like it, and go from there. If you do really like it, then I always recommend checking out the different co-livings, because that way you're going to be in an environment with other people that are also working and from different countries. So you're kind of like co-workers that are working in this new place together. If you're going to be staying for longer than a month, I recommend checking out different Facebook groups and local rental companies to help you sort out a long-term accommodation. I think building a community is really important when you're working in a new place, because you're obviously not going to have your typical friends and family with you. So that's why I really love co-livings. I was working at a co-living in Tenerife for 6 weeks, and I'm going to do a whole video about this coming up maybe in the next few weeks if you want to see that. But essentially what made the entire experience was the people I was with, the people that were staying at the co-living, because we kind of got into a nice routine together. Everyone got along really well. We would do activities outside of work, so it was really nice. I think it can be harder to do this at hostels because people are coming and going much more quickly, especially because they're just backpacking a lot of the time. There's not as many people that are working while they're in a hostel. If you're really considering a big move like this, just know that it's not always going to be easy. I think on social media we see so many people glorifying how amazing it is to work remotely, and don't get me wrong, I love it. That's why I've been doing it for 4 years, but there's definitely some drawbacks and some moments where you're not comfortable and that you miss home. So there's going to be some ups and downs for sure. I think if you've already traveled a little bit on your own, then you're going to be fine doing something like this. However, if you haven't really traveled outside of your home country or outside of the continent that you're from, then you might find it a little bit difficult adjusting to a new way of life. So I'd maybe recommend going to a nearby country or doing some remote work from your own country, but in a different part of that country, just to see how you feel and go from there, because you really don't know until you jump into it. And you can always return home. So if you're not loving it, just know that you can always book a ticket back if you're not having the best time. But give it a little bit of time to see if you can adjust the place, meet some new people, and make friends. When it comes to staying connected with a partner or friends and family, it can be difficult, especially when you're on different time zones. I've been in a relationship and we've been doing long distance here and there when I'm traveling, and we've gotten used to it, but I'm not gonna lie, the first couple of months of doing it were really difficult because you have to be in sync with the other person when you're gonna call, how frequently you're gonna do FaceTime, stuff like that. And that can be a little bit difficult when you're balancing work, figuring out a new environment, and just trying to have a good time when you're there as well. I also think it's especially important to balance your work and seeing the new place. I struggled with this a lot when I was in Colombia, and I really don't think I saw enough when I was there because I was so busy with the work. So if you already have a remote job, then you need to kind of plan it around when you're not as busy at work so that you can see more. And if you have your own business, of course, there's going to be ups and downs, and you don't always know when it's going to be busy, and same with freelance work. So that's something that's a bit tricky and something I still try to deal with when I am working remotely. And it can be a bit overwhelming at times. I know that I've had a couple of meltdowns because I do not know how to balance everything all the time. But overall, I really enjoy it because I get to see a new place and meeting people from all around the world. If you want to work remotely from a new place, you have to be able to plan and adapt to your new environment. But at the same time, you're going to have experiences with people you would have never met at home. So I always say, if you have the opportunity, do it. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to this channel because I put up new videos every single Wednesday. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video, and I will see you next week for another one.